George Carlin recommended you for Oprah.
The best thing is at the beginning of it, he said, "Hi, this is George Carlin. First, let me say there's nothing I can do for your career."
I opened for Lionel Richie at the Greek Theater. They say you can't look at Lionel. And I still got show adrenaline going, and I see Lionel, and he walks by. And just out of instinct, comic instinct, I just looked in his direction, and I just said, "Hello." And they said, "No, you can't talk to him. No."
I used to be devastated by a bad set, not really be able to feel good about myself until I had a good set, and in my early days, that could be months. So it was just.
The night you're there, I walked around the front and there's a guy scalping tickets, and I hug him. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Lionel can't take it.
Looking forward to that.
You say, could you use someone else's name when doing my please?
Hey, this is the Big Comedy Podcast, and I'm very excited to have our guest today, Kathe Farris. Welcome.
Am I talking over you already, Jim? Yeah.
What's that?
Am I talking over you already?
No. No, I need an app though, so someone can slap me when I do it. Because once I get a tracks towards a joke, I just plow towards it. So okay. Apologies in advance.
No worries. No worries.
So Kathe, we're very excited. You're going to be at McCue's Comedy Emporium in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and it's weird because we had you in the room, but you weren't doing comedy back when we were doing a St. Patrick's Day comedy show.
Right.
So we kind of sat you and forced you to be filmed. We did a little live stream special for that as well, and you were at the music hall, and finally, like years and a couple of apocalypses later, we're getting you actually to come in and do comedy. So this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. I like that you call it the Emporium. Is this like a new new branding?
I'm just really bad at marketing. I'm tired of saying McCue's Comedy Club. Emporium, bunker,
Fanny
speakeasy, whatever, you know.
Okay. I like it. Yeah, I'm excited to come. Yeah. This will be fun.
Yeah, it's a fun little space. We get a lot of it's in the back of a diner, so it's kind of the perfect mix for comedians. You have a diner, so you can sit and booze and talk about yourself, and then go in and perform. So it's everything.
Yeah, I like that. I remember when we were there, you were saying that they actually had like a tasting for like weddings in this room, and
yeah.
I left there being like, my second marriage, I'm getting married there.
Good. I thought you were going to get me in trouble.
No. Food's great. Like that's exactly how a wedding should go. But you don't know that the first time around, you know?
Yeah, I was making fun of the fact that, you know, like, what are you going to be tasting? You know, like,
I know we were a little questioning, like, oh, I didn't.
That's cheeseburger. Let me try. Actually, they have a really good barbecue there, and they have a dessert area that is causing me to be very fat. This is why I have to speak from here up, because if we crop down, it would be not that it's pretty now, but it could get worse.
When you say dessert area, is it like everybody? Are you outside with the smokers and just having a cheesecake?
Well, they got a smoker out back, but the desserts, they got a case there, and I can't walk by it, even if I'm carrying equipment, and I leer into it. What do they got today? Do they have lemon pie? Do they have a key lime pie, apple? I'm a pie guy, so that's
yeah, me too.
They have beautiful cakes, but they're too rich for me. It's too much.
Okay.
I just want something I can, you know, scoop ice cream on.
And I feel like we're planning our wedding.
Okay.
Let's do this. Yeah, I'm excited to be there. It'll be fun.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about a couple of things outside of McCue's Comedy Club. And one was that you shot a DryBar special. Have you already shot and got it in the can?
It's already shot. They're editing it now. I'm excited. Yeah, that came around so fast. It was like I had 2.5 weeks to put it together. And then, well, obviously it's been put together for years, but like, what am I going to do? And then get there. Yeah, it was fun.
Well, when we all say that. We all say, you all think, well, I have a TV set ready. Until they say, yeah, we need it next week. And then you have a heart attack. You go, oh my, what am I going to say?
Right. And as you know, like, well, your DryBar went viral. Like, there's parameters, there are things that like, you can and can't talk about. And though I'm very clean, that was really clean. So there were some things that I decided like, okay, it's kind of borderline, that I wasn't going to do, but it was super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Provo is beautiful, right? They still shoot it out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was in Provo. I brought my husband with me. A little bit of a mistake because he loves Salt Lake City. So like he'd drop me off and I'm literally sitting outside Provo. Now everything shuts down there like 9:15.
Right.
Just waiting for my ride. Just waiting for my ride.
Well, people don't realize that's why they call it DryBar, because it's in a dry town. Although I think there is some clubs around there that you can get a drink in. That is their
I can attest to that. There are, and I did.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
But yeah, they give you that warning that there could be 14-year-olds here. Like they they let families in. So, but
I was lucky because I've been doing so many cruise ships that you usually have to do a couple of family shows where they have kids in the room. But as you know, I did a lot of crowd work in mine, which is kind of crazy, but it worked out.
Well, it worked out. It worked out for you.
Yeah, but I'm approaching. I'll give you a prediction. I'm approaching 4 million between Facebook and YouTube. I bet you'll get more. I bet you'll get more because you have really good material and you're going to stick to it. I bet, or you have stuck to it.
I do.
And I bet you're going to get a huge response. I bet you're going to be. I thought when I heard when you said you were going to do that, I was like, she's going to be very successul with this.
Oh, that's really sweet of you. I'm nervous, but I don't know if you were nervous between that time of like them taking it and editing it because because they send it to you and like everything's drowned out but you and the bad lighting and you're like, I made
Don't worry about it.
Choices. Really? Okay.
They spend a lot of money. I think it's a 5-camera shoot. They really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm an idiot too because when I shot it, I really didn't know how big the thing was going to get. I thought it was like, this will be everywhere.
Right. You guys made it big because that's like when it started going viral. Like you, Corey Rodriguez, and some others. Like
Corey killed it.
You did too. You did too, my friend. Like that's the thing. I think a lot of people, when I went there were people that are like, I passed on this. I didn't know what this really was. But they're a well-oiled machine too now. I don't know if they were there with you, but when I went in, everything's set up and you've got,
Yes.
Really.
Good for you. Now, the only advice I would give you is be patient, because for me, it felt like it was a year before they actually put it out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Maybe it was 10 months or 9 months, but I was surprised, and I actually kind of had that gnawing feeling like maybe they're not going to use it, because the guy that shot it the same day as me, they didn't air his till like 3 years later.
Oh, really?
And he was really worried they were just going to pass on him. And they just released it, I would say, during COVID, I think because they weren't shooting new specials. They went through all their old, they kind of like started getting them up one after another. And luckily they had some inventory to get them through that time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Kelly McFarland's just came out this week.
She's another one that will crush it.
Yeah.
Will crush it.
Yeah. She's great. I'm excited to see what happens for hers. Yeah.
Yep. I would have no doubt that she'll knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So DryBar was fun.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about. We have a special guest coming on too, by the way. So I'm going to bring him up in a bit, but I have a few questions I want to ask you while I have your undivided attention. Okay. One is I want to ask you because you're involved in the Comedy Studio, which is like as far as comedians go, a landmark. It always was in Cambridge, and then they've moved it kind of into Somerville.
Yeah.
And if you could just like bring us up to speed, what is this current status of, and what are you doing there?
Yeah. So the pandemic, I think, changed everything, right? So like, the studio was at Beaumarket. I say they because I wasn't with them at that time. Was at Beaumarket, and then with the pandemic, opportunities opened up in real estate as well. And there was there were these moments of like, we really belong in Harvard Square. And then the Curious George building, where Click and Clack is and all that, like that had space. And we were like, well, let's just go see. It just kind of started progressing and taking a life as so. Let's just go see it. Let's just go see, like, what can we do? What do we? And then it just turned into this thing of the studio has investors, and the investors were like, I think this is a good idea. I think that this is something that we should pursue. So so now I'm with the studio. I was doing some online classes with them because I love to teach mostly because like I love the discipline for myself, because I get scared like these people are so much better than me. I better keep writing. So I was doing that, and Rick was like, hey, do you want to do classes here? And I said, sure. So I was doing that, and then they were like, what about coming on and trying to do that in a more permanent basis?
Right.
And as a 51-year-old woman who hadn't been in the workplace for 20 years and had an empty house, I was like, well, that would be a good resume starter. So I started that, and then we got into here, and we're getting the keys probably next week for the space, and we'll start the build out.
So where is the actual space is going to be in Harvard Square? And
yeah, it's in the Curious George building is there, and then behind it is another building, and they connected all those buildings.
Wow.
And so in the basement, it's going to be the comedy studio, and on the other side of that is Mark Wahlberg's F45 gym. So that will be in that area, and it's right, the access is right by JFK, so like you can just go right down into that space, and we'll have 2 bars and the whole thing. So it's a lot of
what's the seating capacity going to be? These are like not funny questions, but I'm interested.
No. That was actually a big component of moving, is because what they found at Bow Market is like it's only 100 people that we can. But if we had more flexibility for some shows, that would be great. So that's 160.
Oh, good. That's a great size.
Yeah. So, so
keep me posted, because I would love to have the Boston Comedy Festival.
I know. Yeah. Well, right. And we're getting you at we're at Vera's right now, which is in Union Square, and you're going to be there on June 11th, which I would have asked you like sooner. I didn't know like, oh, you want to do it. But that's like a 60 to 70 person room, but it's fun and it's tight and it's
I just feel like I've got to reconnect with all the people in Boston, because I'm always working, but like I'm not. There was a time when every single night I was going to every single stage in Boston. This time is in the 1900s, but I did it for like 5 years, and I feel like that's kind of missing a little bit. And like every other comedian, I want to work on my act, but I also want to like kind of get to know everybody again.
Yeah, I love that. And with the Boston Comedy Festival, I think that would be terrific.
Yeah, I mean, I meet people at the Boston Comedy Festival, but I'm always so overwhelmed. I got this like nervous smile on because I'm trying to talk, remember a name, and I'm thinking that I smell something burning in another room at all times.
I don't know how you and Helen do it, honestly.
It's Helen. I mean, Helen's. If you got the ongoing joke during the festival is me going, "Where's Helen?"
I think everybody's saying that.
Right.
Where's Helen? Yeah, but that is the staple. Honestly, that's the thing that the Boston Comedy Festival was the thing that when I started, it was like I just want to submit. And I remember being just to submit. I did not get in at that time. But then every year, like I would try again. And it was just something that kind of kept you going, in the momentum of it.
Yeah, I think that your approach, when I hear people that have, like the winners, a lot of them, many of them, I should say, have this approach of like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to submit, but they have the long view. They're like, I'm going to enjoy my time there, work on my set. Whatever happens, and then learn from it and try to improve the next year. And you'll see those people, they get in the prelims the first year, the semis the second year, the third year, they're in it. They're in the finals, they're fighting for winning. And a lot of times people stop there, which is fine. But sometimes they're like, no, I want to win this thing.
Yeah.
Because at that point, if they're focusing that much on that tight set, they really, they're sharp. You know,
Yeah,
by that
I
time.
agree. I mean, to me, it was just like such a great experience. And you and I, like, that's where we met, and like we had
Yes.
so many things.
I was afraid to tell this story because I thought I always tell you this story, and you probably want to just slap me, right?
I tell the story too. I love it.
Okay, so I saw you. We had this room. It was in this club called Once, and we had this act that was completely burned down. Like had a nervous breakdown on stage, and I went over to you. I didn't know you, but I was like, just this is a horror. I'm sorry that first of all you have to do this, but just I forgot. I gave you some advice. I don't even know if you took it, but what you did is you went up and you did the act you brought there, and you stuck to your guns, and you did great, and you won them back. And it was like I just was like, that is a professional comedian. You didn't get rattled by the energy of the person in front of you or the idiot producer that came up to try to try to put the fire out. You just went and did your thing, and it was great. It was really great.
You know what's so weird about that is that for a year, like I had a completely different experience than you did with that, because first of all, I thought what you did was super helpful. Like you came up to me and you were like, I'm so sorry. I mean, this guy was like beyond graphic, and I've been to enough open mics that like my threshold, this was crazy. But you had said, what you could say is like, everybody, that was my husband or something like that. Like it was good. You were so trying to help me, which like actually made it so much easier for me, because what I decided to do is just wipe off the microphone and then do my set.
Yep.
But what also happened, what you probably don't know, is that like somebody took out their phone. I think I had 10 minutes at like minute 7, and I thought they were giving me the light. So I wrapped up early. So for a year, I was like, I panicked and I ended early and like that, and then my time is off. But then the next year, I remember coming in like, hi, Kathe. This is like, Todd Barry is going to be here. I love you to open for him. I'm like, what? Like that you remembered that you made something that I thought was like, wow, I really screwed up. But this year I'm coming back.
No, you showed me something. I was like, and people forget that I'm a comedian. Like they just see me as this guy that books stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't even book that much stuff, but mostly my living is from doing comedy. And when I saw you in that spot, I mean, I knew it was a bad spot. I knew you had worked all year and this was a big chance for you. And you got handed a big, what sandwich. And
I was thrilled to just make it.
We all do. I mean, we all get that set when you really need it to go well. A chandelier lands on you, and or a trap door opens onto you.
Right. I get it, but honestly, like making it to the semis that year was like enough for me too. Like I very, very much was in it for the long game of that. I just enjoy it every year. It helps me work harder, getting that tape. So honestly, I walked out being like, damn, like I went shorter, but I was so happy to make it that far, because it's a difficult competition to make it that far in,
Right.
So yeah, it was great.
Hey, listen, I want to bring Al on. Al Goniger is a great comedian. He also is every time I watch him, he's better and better and better, and he's already starting good. He's a good, funny comedian. We're going to see this guy do great things, and oddly enough, he's going to be performing with Kathe Farris at the McCue's Comedy Club in Portsmouth
Emporium
this Saturday. So it's just odd that both of you would get booked on the same thing right before this booking. But I'm very excited to have him on, and let me see if I can get him into the stream. Hey, Al.
Hey, Jim. Hey, Kathe.
How are you?
I've been watching you backstage. Wait, let me get
nice
on camera here. There we go.
I should have known you'd have your own studio.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do voice acting.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I have a sound booth. Yeah.
You're just ready for opportunity to come. You're like, oh yeah, I'll build it. You need me today? I'll build a studio. I'll be ready to go.
Right. I built this entire studio just based on the once every 2 years when I'm asked to be on a podcast. No.
Good. Well, this won't be the last. There'll be much more. Were you listening to anything we're talking about there?
I was in the backstage.
I have a question. While we just kind of hit on the Boston Comedy Festival, what are some of the other festivals that you guys go to? Like, I'm thinking, like, I know Helen's going to go up to Just for Laughs, which is I always went years ago, and that's just like the Super Bowl of festivals.
Yeah.
But
I just got
trying to submit myself to a couple. And if I was just a comedian, where would I go to see good comedy? And what's the hottest festivals now to go to?
I mean, the ones that stick out that I've heard are, I mean, of course, Just for Laughs. But when I asked a guy like, "Hey, how'd you get on that?" He said that Limestone was one that he went to. And then, of course, speaking locally, I did just get admitted to the Portland Comedy Festival that Ian Stewart runs up here. He's been doing that for a few years.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah, and
it's a great town for that.
That's another good one. And then he's doing a thing that's like he did last year, New England's Funniest at Aura in Portland up here.
Oh, I thought that was the same thing.
No, I don't think so. Because no, they're not actually, because I did two different submissions.
Okay.
And so no, those are two separate things. I think the Aura one, New England's Funniest, is a competition. So
right.
Well, I guess so is I guess all comedy festivals are also competitions there, even if they're not labeled that way.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Everything's a competition.
Yeah.
A Big Pine's another one that
what is it called?
Big Pine.
Oh, that sounds good. Where's that?
I know. Okay.
That's a good question. I forget where Big Pine is, but that's
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. Corey Rodriguez.
I'm gonna submit for a few of them this year. I want to get out there.
Or the Seattle one, where that's like a week long, where if like you make it to the finals, that like they have a thing, that it's a series of competitions, which is kind of fun.
I always thought Seattle and San Francisco were more than a week. They were like a month or something crazy.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I could never afford to go and like, I'm not the kind of guy you don't want this 6'6" guy on your couch. So I can't just like go out and
That's so much tallism, Jim.
I know.
Yeah, it is.
Heightism.
Sacrifice for your art.
Yeah, I have to sue every town to raise the branch heights.
That's the thing. I'm glad you brought up the comedy festival thing, because I gotta start submitting more to that, because I'm the only comedian on this podcast that is completely unaccredited. Hope to get credited one day, like all unaccredited comedians do, and so like that's it seems like that's a good way to like get your face out there is by submitting to these festivals and hopefully getting on.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's a good I did the Nebraska one, the Johnny Carson one, and
oh yeah,
and it was great. And that's another one. I don't know what they're doing now, but at that time they wanted you to work a little bit on the clean side.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into Zanies in Chicago and a couple other places. And if you can get out of a festival and get a little bit of work out of it, that's huge.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been talking to Helen. We really want to focus on trying to get a little more industry into town this next time around. So.
Yeah, but I even find, I've never won a festival. I've been in several of them, but I always get something out of it. Like, especially like Boston. I've never won Boston, but I got so much work from it. So like, it doesn't, to me, that was actually worth more.
I love hearing that. That's great.
Yeah.
That was the goal from the start. If we could just get people to come here to see us.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because I don't know what came first, though. Like Rick started. Me and Rick were just doing comedy a million and 10 years ago. But I started the festival in 2000, even I think. And I don't know when the studio started, but the festival I started, I just wanted to get industry to come here and see all the great acts.
Yeah.
I thought if we could just do it for 1 week, we could own it.
Well, that's why it's like whenever I submit to festivals or anything like that, which I mean I only just started doing, people talk about the competition and stand-up comedy, and it's like, yeah, there is that, but also the way I look at it is a lot of comedians want to be famous, including myself, but the first goal is just getting working. So it's like, if the day comes that I'm on the Boston Comedy Festival, like, okay, yeah, winning is one thing, that's great, but even if you're just noticed and, like you said, get some steady work out of it, it's like that's a huge accomplishment right there. To go from going from like where you're just booking each gig yourself and you're your own agent, you know, versus
Right.
like, oh, cool, I actually got something lined up. I got a few lined up here, you know.
Yeah. One of my favorite ones is the Gilda Radner one.
Oh yeah.
Laugh Fest. That's that one has, because they have such a tier of different types of shows, and it's not a competition. You submit, and then they put you in slots, and that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I'd definitely do that again.
Does that go to the Gilda Radner Foundation?
Yeah, that's the underlying thing.
Yeah, when I lived in New York, we used to do. They had a place called Gilda's Place, I think it was.
Yeah,
called.
no, that's exactly where it goes to.
Oh, it is. Okay, so yeah, I did a few fundraisers for that, and I knew they had a big comedy event. And I think Tommy Cotter used to work there a lot, and I think Louis Black goes up there too.
Okay. It's great. You really like it's well organized, and there's a lot of big good shows.
Great.
Yeah.
Nice. How many times per week are each of you getting on stage? Are you like, you know, Monday through Saturday or something, or
I get up like 3 or 4 times a week. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say I'm even less, probably 2 or 3. And it's funny because I used to be, when I was doing the cruise ships, I would do anywhere from 14 to 18 shows a week on those shows.
Wow.
So you had to have a lot of material. So I was really, it never used to be this way where you get sharp on cruise ships. When you're doing that much stage time, you will.
You have to, right? Do you think you'd ever go back?
I'm trying to work it out on land right now. I'm just trying to, you know, I'm trying to get these clubs going, but I don't want to be in them all the time. I want to start going into other.
I get that too. Yeah. I feel the same way. Like,
you can kind of, one thing you got to watch out for is you can't get sucked into them, you know?
Yeah. Cause you're always wearing that hat and like, you just want to get on stage, and sometimes it's like hard to like, you know, not do that.
What do you mean sucked into them? So
I'm always going to the same, one of my things, something I'm booking.
It's just, just like,
and I get I've got to spend all my time booking, marketing, paying people, just the work of paying, getting all the checks out and all the
accounting,
everything. And then you just about finish, and then you got to get ready for next week, you know, so.
But we're getting better. Being there and being like that as a producer, being like, here's the lineup, here's the things, like, and then you're just trying to do your thing, right?
Yeah, like right now we're working on venues for the Boston Comedy Festival, and you know, it's trial and error trying to get them all to line up at the same time. You know, they're all available. It's a harder thing than you might imagine.
I can't imagine that. When is the festival?
Well, we're keeping the dates flexible and trying to line up the dates right now. So it's I wish I had an answer for you, but
that sounds about as hard as I always imagined it would be. Like ever since I first saw like there was a small comedy festival up in the Lewiston Auburn area here in Maine, and it was like, you know, just 3 days whatever, the weekend and stuff, and just even that I was like, God, these must be so hard to plan, like just organizing the different venues and, like you said, lining up everything, you know, with people's schedules.
Yeah, it used to be harder. I'll tell you what was hard was I used to work for all the clubs in Boston, and when I first started this, it kind of hurt me because they all wanted to dictate to me which shows they were going to get. And when I said no, I didn't work for them anymore. Nice. So that was a tough line to hold because they all would use what leverage they had to try to
get you to do.
They all looked at the schedule like, why did so and so get such and such, and we got this. It's like, you know, we're doing the best we can.
Yeah. Right. I feel like, especially with the festival, they have it, you know, you've got your competition, and then you've got your other lighting shows, and then it culminates to these big heavy hitter shows, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
This is a very serious version of the big show.
Just take a snapshot of this and that.
This is a workshop.
Right.
We should do this on Zoom. Hi, my name is Jim McCue, and I'm producing Shows for 23 years. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
I'm
Hi,
Kathe Farris. I've never won a
I've been
festival.
producing the Comedy Studio for 6 months. Hi, Kathy.
I had
We got
to
a
quit.
sponsor yet?
I walked in the room. My family was sitting in a circle, and they said, "Jim, you produce too many shows."
Yeah,
And
we're
we're here to
about
talk to
family.
you about that today.
Right, that's right.
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 And Helen's in the corner fuming, like, I produce those shows.
Right. You start producing your family the same way. You're like, you're not really ready for the living room yet.
Yeah.
You need to work on your kitchen skills, and then we'll see.
Send me a link. We'll figure it out.
Right. If you can eat like a civilized person for 18 minutes, a good 18 minutes, then we'll bring you in the living room.
Let me ask you this though, because if people watch it, when people watching this, like, so any advice you have for people who are like submitting to the festival? Because we have that a lot at the studio, being like, can I get on because I want to get a tape for the festival? Like.
Yeah, I mean, you really got to have. There's two things I would say about that, and this is for both things. If you want to work for people now and you're not famous, you have to have a super funny short set that they can put on the ticketing link that will help them sell tickets. Doesn't matter your personality, nothing else matters, because I've been really looking into this now, and everyone I talk to says, if I go to the ticketing link and someone's not famous, but they are funny in that 2-minute clip, I might buy a ticket.
Okay.
Other than that, they want famous people. It could be TikTok. It could be how many walnuts you put in your mouth. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I'm sorry, but this is like the new reality.
That's good. That's good advice, because that's true. Like all this whole
like if you want to come to McCue's Comedy Club, I really need you to get me that 2-minute tape so you can help me sell tickets, because I need help. And then the festival is a little bit different, because I'm looking, and we have 3 people that look at them, and we all get a vote. But we all agree on, I can tell you, we all kind of agree on the same thing. You have to have a really good tape. People, if you're sending a tape with an apology attached to it, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The waitress stood in front of me for the whole set, and this is all I could get. It's like, yeah, but there's too many people you're competing against. Right. We can't see through the fact that there was no audience the day you made your tape. Like if you're a comedian and you want to progress, you have to be chasing that tape down every single show.
Yeah.
Every single show.
I had a guy asking for a hosting spot for a show I was producing, and it was like, it was 10 minutes from an open mic, and even he was disorganized with which there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not a marketable thing, and when I mean, we all fumble and stuff like that. We just hide those recordings.
And then I know also, when I look at the tapes, I want someone that I can be proud of, that's going to go and gets, has a material that may get them. I mean, everything's changed. I used to be TV, but now it's a following, that they'll, it's like Kathy, when you were there, it was like when we had Todd Barry, I was like, Kathy would be perfect for that. It just ping,
Yeah, that was a good tape. I was happy with that tape that year too. Like I was, but you're right. But and some people will send an edited tape, and I always say, don't edit it. Like to me, that kind of automatically disqualifies you, because you really can't see them in real time.
If you've seen enough video, if the people know them. You can hear the way people are laughing, supportive laughing, clapter. You hear all that. You hear all of it. You're like, oh, this guy's got friends in the audience. This is
right. I always say, if your friend is filming it, have them not laugh.
right next to the camera.
I have filmed stuff for people, and I had to tell myself that, you got to just go.
It's true though. They think,
because I've made that mistake before.
Yeah.
You can also hear people say things when they're filming, thinking, "Oh, I like this joke."
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I do too. Anyway, that's.
I think that's good advice. I think that's good advice, because some people don't realize that, how important it is, and
And it's kind of like advertising anything, right? You see a 30-second commercial spot, and if they're like, "Hey, the toaster that you have doesn't work. See how much this one is better." Oh wait, sorry, we're still working on the button. Like, it's just, okay, there we go. Now it works. And then the product's not even working in the demonstration. You're gonna buy the product. It's same thing. It's why would you attend a comedy show?
No one's got the bandwidth for anything anymore. You got to like bring it,
right?
And like that's writing and performing is all your job, and so is helping the people you want to work for sell you as a comedy product to get people through the door, so you get a following and they get a following.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have a question about that. Like, it's kind of like if you're submitting for an agent or anything like that, it's like, if you want agency representation, I mean, the whole thing that they're always wondering is, how can I make money off this guy or gal?
That's right.
And so besides the fact, like, nowadays, stand-up comedy has, of course, evolved into like where, you can't just tell any joke that anybody else can tell. Your best material is always going to be the stuff that only you can tell from your experiences. Beyond that, like, what do you two recommend as, like, okay, it can't just be like, is it just that? Is that, or what other selling point can you have as an unknown comedian that, hey, here's how you can, here's what makes me stand out, besides the fact that my material is from my unique experiences?
No, it's all now. And I'm not an expert. I'm learning this. So, if you got ideas, people, write them down and send them to us, because I'm looking for them. What's your social media doing? We had Barbara Holiday she owns Flappers in Burbank.
Mm-hmm.
She's a friend of mine. She came out one year and she did a seminar during the day. It was free for the comedians. I think 13 people showed up. We had 96 people in the contest alone. We had 120 comedians. 13 showed up, and she was explaining how to get more social media and how to get hired. And she, it's like, I couldn't believe it. So I listened to her, and I had like probably 12 people on my Twitter account. And at the time, Twitter was the hot thing. And she's like, if believe me, if you're trying to get anything in LA now, they're going to look for your Twitter account. Wow. They're not just going to look at your tape. They're going to go to social media. Who's following this? What does he bring in? I don't know this for a fact, but I would imagine the late night shows, if you go and say, I got a podcast with 75,000 people, I've got a 35,000 on my Twitter account, or some substantial thing, because they're looking for followers. Like, it's crazy, but like, they're almost like going, we don't know how to get a following either anymore. Television, and can you bring a following with you? Unknown comedian number 12. I don't know that for a fact, but my gut tells me that's part of the decision making. Or it's who someone famous is saying, you got to see Al. He's great. Will you take a look at him? Then that's this. You're getting it. Always a recommendation is timeless, but if
sometimes
you get all the other ducks in a row, and if you're going to get an agent or a manager, you've got to have what is your plan? Do you want to do you want to be a writer for late night? Then you have scripts, and you have spec scripts and 200 jokes written. And you can hand them or email all that to whoever's interested in hiring you. And then if you want to be an actor, then you have some kind of an acting background, lessons, schooling, characters.
Yeah.
So you're saying, I want to put me out there for this kind of work, and here's how you can sell me. I'm giving you everything you need to get me what I want. Make it easy for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I guess that's my theory.
I've heard even that sometimes the social media following these days, like I heard this from a headliner in New York, that he was like, sometimes that's even a bigger deal than whether or not you're even funny, because there's people who've done some funny viral video on TikTok, and and then they get this huge following, and then they're like, hey, can I work at your club? Can I headline? And the club's just like, whatever, you can fill my seats.
The club,
I don't care about the talent.
You hate to hear this, but the club is going, this person can pack my room and save my month. So he's good to fight another day.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying everybody should, be a horrible TikTok act, but if you can figure out, if you can navigate everything and bring more of that, it's always good. It's helpful.
Yeah. I mean, that's something as far as you being the best you can be at your craft. I love when I hear that advice. That's always number one. And I even tell myself that too, like when I get a little bit lost in the marketing of it all, I, sometimes have to remind myself, like, hey, how's your product first? You're sitting here, focusing so much on marketing, but don't forget, your primary goal is to be the best you can be at stand-up.
How do you feel about Kathe? I think the studio's a little more, they really want the comedy, but it's you can't ignore. I mean, you got a couple of great people that come in there, and they're pretty kind of famous,
right? And
they draw in a regular group. You're at the point branding wise where people kind of assume you're going to have a good show there.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that we look at is like how we're going to curate a show, but then we're always open to, like, you just don't know who's going to come in, come through the door. Like we had Jay Farrell and Gary Gulman comes through and Eugene Merman comes through. So we're lucky in that sense. And then the rest is really local showcase, right? That, or people that have come through. We try to be flexible enough that people that come through from New York or LA that are doing the other shows and like, hey, can I stop by? Yep. Come on by. Like, you want to jump on the show? Come on by and jump on the show,
Right.
A little bit more flexible like that. Yeah. But it's a different thing. And like, it's the studio, the same thing. It's like, it's this like multimedia engagement. It's like, it's a bigger animal now, and
yeah,
people are just going to see like, well, I want to go to a comedy show. And you're right. Like they want to see it and feel it and like experience it and engage it before they, click for a ticket.
That's right. And I my end of the pond, the famous people sell tickets a lot quicker. They're a lot more expensive because they know they're valuable. They know their value. And what was my point here? And if you have a show of just funny people, like we, are all part of those kind of shows, they're deciding the day of. You're selling 40% of your tickets on the day of the show.
Last minute shows are crazy.
It is always a heart attack. It's always a heart attack every single day.
Always. Yeah.
It's gambling. Straight up.
I do student showcases and we do them at the Rockwell, because I absolutely love that stage and I was introduced to it through Boston Comedy Festival. And that the day of, I'm always amazed at how many people come out for their friends, but how many people do it at the very last minute. It's
That's right.
Crazy.
That's right.
But one thing I've learned though from y'all is that that maybe because sometimes what I do is I produce these brewery spots, because breweries, they sometimes have these side rooms and stuff, and no club is going to let me practice my 45 minutes that I have. And so it's like do these brewery shows. And one thing I should start adding on is like a 2-minute trailer on the, cause like I got this little 3-minute thing that I sent to America's Got Talent, and it's like, use that, cause something they can click on and be like, yeah, hey,
send that to me and I'll put it on the ticketing link for this Saturday.
Yeah. I'll send you my 5
right,
too.
Yeah.
Just edit that down if you want. Yeah.
It all helps, because the other thing too that I find, I have stuff on YouTube that I don't like, and I'm going to start culling it all off, because you don't want some social media person for a club out there somewhere just cherry picking the first video they see of you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not that great. And we can't control that because someone else shot it. It's but if you can control it, get whatever's not going to sell tickets, or,
you're so right.
Get that off your YouTube, because you want them to pick what's going to help you.
Right.
And I have to do this for myself. I just was talking to Helen today about this. I'm like, I got a couple of YouTube sites that I don't use, and I think people go there by accident, and they see I have like no followers, and they've just been drifting out in cyberspace.
Oh.
And I've got to like get rid of all that stuff,
Oh yeah.
And if it's a YouTube account, it's basically just a Google account. So when you just log into that Google account and delete it.
Yeah.
And they'll ask you, are you sure about this, like 5 times, and then
Al says it like it's an easy thing. It's probably not an easy thing for me and you, Jim. Like,
but also go through all those videotapes that if there's something there you think is going to cost you work,
yeah,
I would say get it out, because anything that's not positive is, if you're drawing a flag. When I got the DryBar special, I sent them a 10-minute, and I don't think they'll let you do this anymore, a 10-minute video. And then I did
they still do
video that was completely, whatever I wanted. And they were like, well, we didn't know you were going to do all this. I was like, well, this is what I do. They didn't know I was going to do crowd work. I just did it, which is crazy.
I remember you telling me that last Friday.
Yeah.
They were like, I had no idea you were going to do all that.
You do all that, but that's what you're.
I knew if I'd asked them, they'd say no, because they'd see it as a gamble. But I don't see it as a gamble.
Well, that's because of the way you do. Like, you're very, very good at it.
You're unbelievable.
You're not just like willy-nilly.
I get inspired and jealous at the same time watching Jim do crowd work.
Right.
Yeah,
So
this is the only clip I'm using to sell this episode.
Yep, that just use those 5 seconds right there.
My hat's getting tight. Oh.
You should do it, but our lips don't match the words. Like, Jim's the best.
Well, thank you both for that. But it was crazy because they didn't know what the director came up in between shows and he's like, we didn't know you were going to do that. I go, it went really good, right? And he's like, yeah. I go, cool.
and it was still clean.
Goes, yeah. He goes, you're not going to do that again, are you? I go, yeah. He goes, you got one in the can you like? He says, yeah. I go, then we're good, right? He went, okay.
I agree with you with that. Yeah, because my first one I liked, and the second one, like, just do to the camera, and that one did not look good. So I'm like, go with first.
And it's like, for me, I don't want to be a crowd work comedian. Like, my thing is exactly what I read in the book, Mastering Stand-Up, which is, if the first couple of minutes of, my material is not working, and it normally does, then I'll engage in crowd work. And that's where I want to get better at it, is like use it as a tool to pull the audience in when you kind of need to wake the audience up and get them present in the room. But I did want to ask you, Jim, when did you start doing crowd work? And I'm sure, just like everybody, you're always bad at it in stand-up comedy. You're bad at everything at first, and then you get better. And how long did it take you to like really feel like, holy shit, man, wait, can I curse on here?
I guess you just did. No, it's all right.
Okay. It's okay. Okay, cool. But you're just like, like, yeah, I really think I got this. Like, I think like I'm getting better. Like, how long, like, when did you start doing that, and how long did it take to feel like you were really good at it?
I just think I don't have a very good attention span. I was horrible at everything, and that was just one thing I did. When I started doing comedy, when there's still a good percentage of the Ding-Ho guys headlining here, when I first got to Boston, they did not like crowd work. They did not want to follow crowd work. You're considered like a prop act or a music act, all of which were like you need not apply. So I would do no crowd work if I was in front of any of those guys. And then I learned more and more to dabble. I was on the road all the time, dabble. And it'd just be like, there'd be a guy with like a talking while I'm working over here. And I'd go talk to him. Like, what are we talking, and it just developed, just like, it seemed to me that it was just, it just became something I could do. I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's a skill that will get you fired a lot. I know that much.
I remember the first time that I saw you perform. It was actually at the Rockwell, and I was just amazed by it, because I was like, is he prepared? Paula Poundstone does the same thing. If you go to Paula Poundstone's show, like, I went to her show, it was like an hour and 45 minutes, right? She probably did 45 minutes of straight crowd work. But really what it was,
I heard she's the best. I've never seen her, but I heard she's maybe the best there is at that.
I think you both asked really good questions, and and those questions are like what it was fascinating.
Yeah, Jim's thing is I've noticed so far consistently that your first two questions are, what's your name and what do you do?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you want to elicit something they can answer. So it has to be a short question that they can give you a short answer to, because that's one of the funny things. People start, You ask them what they do, and it's like they're at their class reunion. Well, I started out in the basement, worked in the mail room. It's like, what do you do? That's all I need. I don't need you to, like,
do. It's a present tense verb.
Just like,
now.
I don't even care if you tell me the truth. Make something up. I don't care.
So how do you do the danger of that is that like you open yourself up to like that people who are dominating, and how do you rein them back in?
Great question.
I'll say this. I really love them. And they know that. I'm not going to hurt them. I'm having fun with them. When they're heckling, they see a different side of me. And even that, I will keep a heckler alive for a long time before I put him down. Like, I don't just go right for the jugular. I slowly bring the heat up. Slowly. And about 4 minutes into it, you see the look over their face, like, this guy's never going away. He's never going to stop. And if I don't like him, that's it. That's the goal. Impotence. Never get hard again. You have no self-esteem. Yeah. I'm going to, with a smile on my face, keep whittling you down forever.
Yeah.
The show lasts 45 minutes. I'm going to dedicate 38 to you. But I'm not usually like that. I'm not, but I'm just saying, some people say things, really horrible things. And, and the key is just don't ever get mad. If you get mad, you lose. You got to enjoy it. Take your time.
But some people don't stop. They don't know when, and like they don't mean to do it, but they don't know when to stop, or they think they're helping.
Oh, well, that's different. Sometimes if they're just overexcited, if they're amped up, like you get different kinds of hecklers. So one heckler will say, you'll hear him saying, "That's true, that's true." That's not a bad person. They like what you're doing. They just are so engrossed by it, they don't realize. Yeah. And so you just say a little aside. Actually, it is true. Thank you. And then they become aware. That's enough. Well, thank you for being today's lie detector or whatever, something. So they snaps them out of their trance. That's not a bad person. But some people like, I think I may have told this story before, but I was working at Dangerfields and I'm down in the basement.
Oh, Dangerfields.
And they used to have the old type of intercom system with a button on it. So from when Rodney was there. It's not there anymore. But anyway, Chario used to run everything there. Chario was the head waiter. And they called me downstairs and he says, "Chario, Jim, get up here, Chario." And I went, "Oh no, that's not my time." I go up there and there's like a guitar act being chased off the stage by this guy. So that's not good. So I go up there. I can't remember. He started chiming in. And then so I ignored him because that's important too. You want to ignore them so that everyone in the audience knows they're the problem. Yeah. So, take the first bait. Don't take it. Let everyone know. Everybody's clear now. So when you go in, everybody knows they got it coming.
Whoa.
I'm sharing maybe too much.
This is like, I feel like I was like watching a video from a serial killer.
Well, I mean, you're talking about you're being a lion tamer, and one of the lions is dangerous. So it can't be fear. It's got to be. So anyway, then I keep amping it up with the guy. And then he says, it leads to this. He says, "Oh yeah, I effed your mother." And I said, "My mom loves guys with small dicks." Huge laugh. Yeah. Like they couldn't believe that I came so fast right back on this guy. And then he says, "How about if I come up there and give you a slap?" And I go, "Why don't you come up here and give me a slap? I go, I'm going to beat your ass and get laughs while I do it."
And you're a big motherfucker too.
He goes,
you're a big dude.
And he turns around and he walks out. And I got like almost a standing ovation. It was crazy. And then I actually got in trouble because the owner was there and he called me aside. He goes, "You can't do that. You can't do that to a customer." I go, "Where was the help? Why was I the only one here? Why does the guitar act get chased off by this guy?" And then,
that's their responsibility, right?
Well, what I found out was there's a comedian that was there a week earlier than me. And he's a very macho Latino comedian, very funny. He's been around for a long time. And he had the same thing happen. A guy in the audience said, "I effed your mother." And he went out in the audience and punched the guy and knocked him out of the chair. So Tony was waiting for last week for the lawyers to come, and then he sees the whole thing happen with me again. So I didn't know any of that. Charlie was going, Jim, go. I'll talk to Tony. I'll talk to Tony.
Yeah.
Because I was getting hot. I was like, I thought I did this impossible thing. I don't know. I'm sharing too much.
No, that's awesome.
It's good information on the possibilities.
Yeah.
Kathe, have you ever had to shut down hecklers?
Only once did I had a very polite one, which is the hardest because they're nice, but only once did I, and this was like 3 months ago, I did a show, and the minute I got in there too, they're like, oh, this guy bought the headliner a drink. I'm like, okay. And then I saw him like, this is going to be a problem. And he was just very drunk. But so when I did this joke about like, and I said something about Tom Brady and he got really upset. And when they were taking him out, all I said is like, follow me on Instagram.
Oh, that's funny.
I did have somebody else walk me to my car that night. I'm like, not sure if he's still around. So yeah. But he was more drunk than like angry.
That's great. And there's no set way to do it. Every situation is different. And don't think that I haven't gotten my rear end handed to me plenty of times. Just like any comedian who's done jokes, they don't all work.
No.
And all I can say is if I get angry, I lose.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I can't be that guy.
And so, that actually is a good point because I think you're right about that. But it can get kind of weird, right? Like we're saying this now, so.
Well, and I just don't understand how you come back from that, because whenever I've had people talking during my show, I haven't had a heckler like, in what you'd expect, like where, oh, you suck, not like that, but just, when people talking and, just like, or sitting front row talking and stuff like that. But how do you, and I've heard stories of people where they're just like, shut the F up and, all that stuff. And they get really, like the comedian gets really upset, and maybe their act was a little bit borderline upset comedian anyway, but like I would have trouble recovering from that, like to just be like, hey, this is a show, you're interrupting, stop it. And then I'm like, yeah, okay, so my mom the other day, and just trying to be lighthearted like, when I was just
because what you just said is you got angry and then you try to switch gears again. Now once you're angry, the truth is gone.
That's why you lose.
You can't go back to I'm happy. There's a great video of a guy. It's really old. He had a heckler, and the guy charged the stage, and he hit him over the head with a guitar. El Kabong, I think they call him. And I think you can find that online. But he has like this broken guitar, and he obviously hurt the guy. You don't see the guy. And he tries to go back to his act, and that's the funniest part. He goes, "What? I'm the bad guy? You saw? I told him I was going to hit him with the guitar." And it's like, and then he went, "Okay, show's over." It's like, yeah, it is.
And then I guess like you have to just own it at that point, like where, like you said, you can't just switch. So you might as well make fun of the fact that you can't really just switch and go back to fun guy,
Yeah. Well, I think, you can't, you got to start out way low decibel, like just like, hey, hey, can you keep it down? People, something. I wouldn't, because I've been doing it a long time. I wouldn't just go after somebody. And if you do, try to, they're not ready for more. They got a straight up heckler's got one funny thing to say, and they don't have a plan for the second thing or the third thing or the fourth thing. So,
that's a good point.
You can acknowledge what they said is funny. If it's really funny. It's you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of ways to do it without losing your cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've even seen times where like the person during crowd work, so they are supposed to respond, and they actually make a really great joke, and based on what the comedian said, and the comic or the host usually is the one doing the crowd work and reeling people in, and the host is just like, yeah, that was good, and like they actually put the microphone down for a second, and they're like, that was really funny.
Yeah, that's true. It's absolutely true. People are funny. And I'll tell you this too, like the hardest part of the joke is a premise. Trying to find an original premise is so hard. And if you're doing that, and if the three of us are around, and I say I have this premise, I just say the premise, both of you will come up with two completely different funny things.
Yeah.
So that's the easy part. You'll see not so much anymore, but a lot of times people would take a premise and try to rewrite a different punchline on it. But the punchline's not the hardest part of it. It's important, yes, but an original premise is gold.
I agree with that. Yeah, because I feel like everybody's, you know, I went to something in New York with all women, and it was the first time I was like, we're all talking about the same thing, you know. And that's when I went home and I'm like, I'm gonna just start trying to write different things.
Right. That's right.
Hard. Yeah.
Yeah, an original premise is a tough thing because it's
that's
like
the hardest thing, man.
We all kind of read the same stuff, right?
I'll give you, you know.
That's why the stories are really cool, because it's kind of like, you know, like one of my favorite Tom Segura stories is when his doctor wrote on his chart, his doctor was asking him all these inappropriate questions, and then it's just like, you know, keeps on like not believing that he's heterosexual for some reason, and he's like, yeah, he just keeps asking me this stuff, and then I got a glimpse of the chart and it says gay ? And it was circled. I'm like, you know, and I'm not sure like whether I'm not saying this bit verbatim, you know, it's Tom Segura's, but it was like, he's like, he wrote gay ? on my medical chart, you know, and it's like that's why the experiences you have in life are just so unique, because it's like, okay, yeah, how many people have a story where they went to a hospital or went to the doctor's office for a checkup and those exact order of events happened, you know? But, you know, but then it's like you hear other stuff, like the one thing that is just starting to get, I've heard it 4 times already from, 4 different comics where it's, you know, been married for 25 years, 4 different women, 4 different men. But hey, you know, that's the punchline, you know, 4 different women or 4 different men. I've heard that from like 3 or 4 other, you know.
Yeah, I think the original thing of that was I've been married for 20 years, you know, 3 of them were happy, or 3 of them, you know, it's a, right.
The please take my wife, please humor.
Yeah, right, exactly.
The only reason I know about the take my wife please thing is because I sent I sent a 5-minute demo, and it was the weaker out of my 2 demos, so I've marked it as unlisted on YouTube because I got something better now. But when I sent it, it's like I have a lot of unique material about being first generation American and with Indian parents, but I wanted it to be that build where, you know, and so I opened with 3 jokes that had nothing to do with my ethnicity, but they were strong jokes, and there was, for the first time, somebody was like, yeah, the first 2 minutes of that, you know, thing, 3 minutes, that was the take my wife please humor, but then, man, that stuff at the end, and it was because it was so specific. Mom said this, dad said that, you know, all the unique material. And I was like, what the hell did he mean by the please take my wife? And so I actually researched that, and that's the only reason I even know about it.
When I first started out, I opened for Henny Youngman once.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty wild. He was older. He was an older guy then. He slept in the green room. Like, I didn't really get to talk to him. He just kind of fell asleep in between shows.
I mean, that makes sense, because you're not that old.
Guy, and, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, if you open for him, I mean, you know, you're not that old. So I mean, like,
I had a full head of hair and a flat stomach, man. Those,
right.
But no material.
Yeah, Jim McCue,
cats too, right? Like no cats.
7 foot tall, washboard abs.
Fields I can write for is my lack of hair and my 3rd semester, trimester.
Semester.
I'm in both my 3rd semester and my 3rd trimester at the same time. Oddly enough.
Nice thing to brag about. Yeah.
All right, so thanks both of you for being on the show, and I feel like I talked a little bit too much, so I apologize for that. But
no, I thought it was great. I feel like we did a tutorial on crowd work. It was great.
Thanks for having me on as a guest. That was
both of you guys. Everyone should come out and see these guys. They're going to be at McCue's Comedy Club because I think they're funny. How about that? And they're in Portsmouth. There's free parking. I don't know what you're looking for, kids. Free parking, and the food's affordable, and it's diner food. So, you know, get there early, eat, and then go see the show. It's going to be awesome.
Great.
Yeah, Kathy's the main attraction. I'm doing.
Al, I'm very excited to be with you. This is going to be great.
Al, you're very attractive as well.
You are.
Why? Thank you.
Okay. And do you guys have any social media stuff you want to plug?
Well, I am recording my album in August at the Rockwell, so I'm super excited about that.
Great.
So we'll tag that.
a good place for that.
I'll be in.
Al, where people find you?
You can just plug my name into social media, into Facebook and Instagram, and you'll find me.
Okay. Thanks everybody for watching. This has been the Big Comedy Podcast live stream, but it will soon be a dead stream, and then you can watch it on YouTube, and you can watch it. I'll get the audio up for as well. Thank you so very much for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.